YouTube. In my little garage here, I just made a video of this steering shaft install on my S10. I got it all in there, secured, it's good to go. It's not going nowhere, nice and tight. Okay, that's done. Look at this little beast I built for my wife. It is the Tillotson 212 from Gopowersports.com, obviously. And I built the frame almost from scratch. Bought it for like 20 bucks from a guy. Chopped it in half, extended it, put a live axle on it. It used to be the one-wheeler killer. I ordered the axle from Go Power Sports. The wheel kit, all 4 wheels and tires came already mounted. The bearings, the metal, the brakes, everything, cables, all that good stuff. But like I said, this is the Tillotson 212 from Go Power Sports. Somehow managed to get the 22 millimeter. This is the genuine Mikuni, made in Japan. And Go Power Sports adapter and their other air filter adapter up here, which doesn't match their description on the website. I'll tell you about that in a second. But everything works as intended. I have I believe it's 85. Let's see what we got here. 85 tooth rear sprocket and a 14 tooth front clutch sprocket up here. This is from Dyno Camps. This clutch right here, pretty good clutch. It's a NORAM, and it's about 80 some bucks. It's a pretty good clutch. It's got a good stall on it. It doesn't engage as soon as you freaking crank the thing up. It actually idles, and you can give it a little bit of gas before it actually starts engaging. So it's a pretty good clutch, and it cools off pretty quick. I just got off of this thing, and you know, it doesn't heat up or burn up or anything like that. Anyways, I got these tie rods from Go Power Sports. I actually just cut the steering limiter, or whatever you want to call it, steering stop off right there to get a little bit more radius. It was stopping about right there, but you know, now I got full steer. I think I got it aligned pretty good. I had this thing put together for the longest. But anyways, let me tell you a little bit about this motor. So Tillotson 212 supposedly comes stock, 10 horsepower out the box, comes with a factory carburetor, everything like that. So I ordered this carburetor, the 22 millimeter genuine Mikuni, the intake manifold adapter from Go Power Sports. I think this one's a 60 millimeter. You can get them shorter than this for like the 40 millimeter or whatever. And then it comes with this, or it doesn't come with it, but I ordered this instead of the little small red filter, the white filter that they put on there, I wanted to use the full size K&N style. And they sell the adapter that supposedly is supposed to mount right onto the genuine Mikuni to this size air filter. But whenever you put that air filter adapter onto this 22 millimeter carburetor, there is about, I'd say maybe an 1/8 inch or more gap all the way around the carburetor opening where the air filter is supposed to go. And so I kind of rigged it up because I really wanted to use this filter and not the small one. And I basically wrapped electrical tape around the opening of the carburetor around the outside. I wrapped it until I got a pretty good snug fit in between the carburetor and this adapter. I replaced the set screws because they're not long enough to fill the gap that you know, because it doesn't fit. I put those bolts in there to fill the gap, and the air filter fits just fine. It doesn't leak or anything like that. And I also ran a small bead of black silicone around the inside of it just in case there was any leaks or anything. That was the first issue. Second issue, I should say. The first issue was this intake manifold adapter that adapts that head to the Mikuni carburetor, because it originally comes with the 2 long studs for the factory carburetor and the airbox and all that crap. I didn't want that on there. This intake manifold adapter is supposed to, it's made, I guess, per the description on the Go Power Sports website, it is made for the 212 Predator, and it's supposed to make that 212 Predator head to this Mikuni carburetor, but it didn't fit. It didn't work. Like I said, this is a 212 Tillotson, and from my understanding, I thought they used the same intake manifold dimensions and all that stuff because they use the same carburetor. You can take the carburetor right off of a Predator and put it right on a Tillotson, or you can take the TCT fuel injection, whatever that is, Tillotson carburetor, and put it on a Predator. They have the same dimensions as far as the studs and the air box, all that crap. But this this intake manifold, I had to do a bunch of drilling to make those bolts go in there the way they're supposed to. It wouldn't line up without me drilling the crap out of it. And yeah, that wasn't fun. And then the bolts that they gave me was just a little bit too long, because when you screw them all the way down in there, there was just enough gap left for the air filter, the intake manifold and the gasket to fit through, and there was still a little bit of looseness in there. So I had these shorter screws laying around, and I put those in there with a little bit of red Loctite, and it tightened down nice, and it never came loose again. But the first time I ran the motor, within 5 minutes those screws came loose, even with red Loctite, and it ended up shaking and vibrating so much that it broke the intake manifold gasket. So it started getting air, and then I had to pull it 4 or 5 times to get it crunk or anything like that. So yeah, I put those shorter screws in there, some red Loctite, tightened it down. It hasn't came loose since. It's pretty stiff, sturdy, whatever you want to call it. But otherwise, good intake manifold. Just had to drill it. That was inconvenient. Took me a while. Carburetor is awesome. It works pretty good. The choke, everything starts up one pull, the idle, everything. The air filter, I want to get me the foam cover with the outer pre-filter on there. I want to get that eventually, because this thing is right over the wheel. That's another thing. These manifolds, they are straight off of the head, and so if you got a cart like this that the motor is actually centered or a little bit to the right, like this one is, like I said, I fabricated this one, welding everything, and it shoots the air filter right out to the back tire. So that's why I had to put this ugly mess under there just for the time being. Had to get some 4-inch pipe with some 6-inch bolts that go all the way up there, and jack the motor up just so I can put the air filter on there, because otherwise, I got the carburetor here and no air filter because it'll hit the tire. So yeah, it runs pretty good though. And then I had to take this hose off. I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with it. The vent hose up here, I guess when you got a full tank and the tank gets a little hot, which I don't see how it did it, because I only had a full tank in there for maybe 30 seconds before it started spilling out the carburetor. But I had the vent running right here like normal, and I had that connected like that, and it was spilling gas all out the carburetor. So I just took it off, and I guess if I get a full tank and it does it, it'll just run out on the ground or whatever. So I'll figure out something to do with it. But anyway, another thing that I was a little disappointed with Gopowersports for the intake manifold and this air filter adapter, because they did not fit at all without modification. The other thing with this motor that they did not have in the description, it's a Tillotson 212 Hemi, but it's not the same Hemi head as the Predator. Obviously it's a Tillotson, it's made by Tillotson, it's their specialty head or whatever. But this manifold, the valve cover gasket, the valve cover itself is not the non-Hemi for the Predator, and it's not the Hemi for the Predator. These bolts are not in the rectangular, for the Hemi, because what I was gonna do, I was gonna get the spacer and I was gonna get the clear intake manifold for the Hemi Predator. But luckily I didn't order it, because I realized that it was a little bit different. But it doesn't say that in the description. It doesn't tell you with this engine, hey, Predator intake manifold won't work, or Predator valve cover won't work, none of that stuff. So luckily I didn't get it. I realized it before I bought it. But the intake manifold, I was able to make it work. The air filter adapter, I was able to make it work, at least until this electrical tape wears out or whatever, gets gas on it, I don't know. But other than that, everything came out good. These bearings, this hangers, everything is good quality stuff. The only thing I don't like, I bought these lock collars for the axle right here, and they tighten down good and they lock, but when you line the keyways up, the key is still able to slide in and out, and it won't tighten down on the key itself. Like when you tighten this down, it locks the axle in place, but the key can free float out. So what I had to do for my sprocket, I don't know if you can see that, I had to put some black silicone sealant, gasket maker, whatever, in the keyway so that it didn't slide out. For my brakes, for the axle, for the brakes on both sides, for the sprocket on both sides, and for my wheels on just one side, because I got washers that, you know, the keyway can't come out of there because I got washers. But everything's pretty quality. This cable right here is one of my favorite things. This sucker right here is good quality, heavy duty, like it says on the description. That's good. These brake calipers work pretty good, and yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Let me see something here. Do need to tighten that up a little bit more, but yeah, this thing runs pretty good. Most of the time it starts on the first pull. I'm gonna try it with no choke and see what happens. So yeah, real good motor, strong. Carburetor puts the gas right to it, no hesitation. Everything runs good. I didn't want to put a header on it because the wife, she don't really like the loud noise like that, and sometimes it'll pop and stuff like that. But really nice setup, quality parts. Gopowersports, just make sure this stuff lines up without modification, because I wasn't expecting that.